Welcome to New Thought Deep Dive. Each week, we dive into a refresher on New Thought spiritual ideas that leave you thinking. Everything about this podcast, from the intro to the script and the presenters, is generated by AI. For more information, please visit newthoughtnexus.net.
What if the absolute hardest part of your personal growth isn't actually the intense, exhausting work you think you need to do?
Right, but the work you actually need to stop doing.
Exactly. I mean, think about that for a second. Usually when we talk about self-improvement, it sounds exactly like a demolition project.
Oh, complete.
You look in the mirror, you see all these flaws, and you basically tell yourself it's time to grab a sledgehammer. Like, let's tear the whole personality down to the studs and build something better from scratch.
And it is just an exhausting way to live. Because, well, in that scenario, you are forcing yourself to be the demanding contractor, the overworked manual laborer, and the faulty, cracked foundation, all at the exact same time.
Yeah, that sounds like a nightmare. But what if you didn't actually have to build a new personality at all? Welcome to your deep dive. Today, we're taking a closer look at a really specific mission.
Yes, we are.
This conversation is designed as your personal companion piece to accompany week 2 of your class, Spiritual Unfoldment, a practical guide to soul growth. We're talking directly to you today to help you navigate this material.
And just to ground us in where you are in the coursework right now, last week, you were focusing on preparing the soil.
Right.
That was all about clearing away the weeds of worldly drama, tuning out the noise, and dropping those old resentments. Because you can't plant anything in a mind that's choked with thorns.
You really can't.
But now that your mental soil is ready, today's mission is discovering the seed. We are looking at what exactly gets planted in that soil.
And to be completely clear right from the jump, we aren't approaching this as some sort of floaty, unknowable mysticism, right?
No, not at all.
The text treats this as the practical, precise mechanics of the human mind. We're talking about spiritual physics here. So, okay, let's unpack this. If we want to discover this seed, which the coursework calls your true self, the text suggests a massive deconstruction of your current identity. It introduces this concept of the not I.
The not I, yes.
Because basically, we all walk around wearing these incredibly heavy wardrobes of temporary labels. We are draped in our job titles, our bank accounts, our passing moods, and our past mistakes.
Which brings us to the really profound mechanical difference between the concept of I did or I experience versus the concept of I am.
Oh, this part is so crucial.
It really is. When you say to yourself, I am a failure, or I am an anxious person, you are actually making a massive mechanical error in your consciousness.
Wait, a mechanical error?
Yes.
Yeah.
You are taking a temporary passing condition and permanently attaching your eternal identity to it. You're basically confusing the outer coat you're wearing with the person inside the coat. You're confusing the outer clay with the inner gold.
It makes me think of the ocean. You look at the surface, it might be crashing with violent waves, completely chaotic, battered by hurricane winds.
Right, totally chaotic.
But if you dive down a mile into the depths, the water is completely undisturbed, perfectly still. The surface drama is the not I, and the depth is the I am, that seed or divine nucleus within you.
That is the perfect way to visualize it.
Yeah.
The surface waves are real experiences, definitely, but they do not change the fundamental nature of the ocean depths.
I see the logic there, I do. But, I have to push back a little here.
Go for it.
Because it feels like there's a massive gap between understanding that in theory and actually doing it when you're under pressure. If I'm standing in the middle of a stressful day and my boss is screaming at me or I just got an eviction notice, my adrenaline is spiking.
Of course it is.
My biology is in a literal fight or flight state, so I am on the surface of the ocean, and I feel like I am drowning in those crashing waves. How do I practically separate my eternal identity from my current passing state? I can't just say I have a calm center when my heart is beating out of my chest.
Well, that is the crux of the entire practice, isn't it? Because you're absolutely right. You cannot simply stand on the surface of the ocean and try to smooth out hurricane waves with your bare hands.
Right. You drown.
You will absolutely drown. It's like the sky. The sun is always shining, right? When heavy clouds gather, you don't have to manufacture a new star or build light from scratch.
Oh, I see.
You simply have to let the clouds part. The true self, which is often referred to in the texts as the indwelling Christ or the divine blueprint, doesn't need to be created by your human effort. It just needs to be recognized.
Okay, so If our true self is like the sun hidden behind clouds, what exactly are those clouds?
Those clouds are the noisy, analytical thoughts of the head mind.
Ah, okay. The coursework calls this relocation the Great Transfer. It's the movement of your consciousness from that analytical intellect, the head mind, down into the wisdom of the heart. But wait, I have to push back on this too.
I figured you would.
Isn't our intellect a good thing? Like, we need our analytical minds to survive, right? I need it to pay bills, navigate traffic, and literally not get eaten by lions.
Yeah, you absolutely need it. The intellect isn't the enemy at all. It's a valuable servant, but it is a terrible master.
A terrible master. How so?
Well, the intellect is essentially a bodily instinct of the brain. Its entire evolutionary job is to categorize, analyze, and spot threats. So when it's the master of your mind, it acts like a ragbag of random, noisy, conflicting thoughts. It's constantly trying to sort the material world. It can process facts, sure, but it cannot perceive absolute truth.
Okay, so the intellect is the noisy head, but the heart is described in your source material as a golden chamber or a golden lotus, right?
Exactly. The text uses the term microzodiac to describe the heart. And it doesn't mean anything astrological. Think of it mechanically as a central balancing point that stabilizes the conflicting poles of our personality.
Like a gyroscope.
Yes, like a gyroscope. True spiritual sight only happens when the noisy, frantic intellect is subordinated to this stable, balancing heart wisdom.
Here's where it gets really interesting, though. Once we make that transfer from the noisy head to the quiet heart, what exactly are we listening for? And like, how does it sound? The text points to the biblical story of Elijah to explain this.
It does, yes.
And just as a quick reminder, in this class, we don't read these stories as literal history, but as highly accurate metaphysical blueprints of the human mind. Every element represents a state of your own mind.
The Elijah blueprint breaks this down beautifully. Elijah is seeking the divine presence. Suddenly, there is a massive, chaotic wind that breaks the rocks. But the divine is not in the wind.
Right.
Then there's a violent earthquake. Not in the earthquake. Then a raging fire. But the guidance isn't in the fire either.
So why those specific elements? Why wind, earthquake, and fire?
Because metaphysically, they represent our mental panic. They represent our anxiety and our frantic overthinking. We think that dealing with our problems requires massive, forceful, emotional events.
Like when you get cut off in traffic and your whole body just flares up. You want to scream or honk. That's the wind and the fire inside your nervous system.
Exactly. But after all that chaos, what does Elijah actually hear? He hears a still, small voice.
Just a whisper.
Just a whisper. And this is vital for you to understand in your own practice. Your inner guidance will never, ever arrive through mental strain or self-punishment. It emerges only from silence and inner stillness.
That makes a lot of sense.
Think about the seed we're trying to discover. You don't yell at a seed to grow. You don't pull on its tiny leaves. You simply provide the right conditions, and it unfolds.
You don't yell at a seed to grow? Man, I love that. But it requires a completely different posture than what we're used to as adults, which ties directly into the next core concept.
Yeah.
Childlike receptivity.
Yes, the story of blessing the children.
Right. In the narrative, the sophisticated adults try to push the children away. But the teaching emphasizes that children don't have the adult masks of prestige or identity or self-importance. They just receive freely.
Because they haven't built that not I wardrobe yet. They aren't carrying around the heavy label of I am a very important person or I am a victim.
But this naturally leads to a term in the coursework that I know trips a lot of people up. Meekness.
Oh, yes. Meekness is a tough one.
Because to a lot of people, meekness sounds like weakness. It sounds like being a doormat. How does being meek possibly help us grow into our power?
This is such a common misconception. In this context, meekness is actually a highly practical, strategic tool. It is not weakness at all.
Okay, then what is it?
Meekness is the conscious choice to drop the ego, the pride, and the exhausting need to manage the entire universe all by yourself. It is being childlike, not childish.
Like taking off the contractor hat we talked about earlier.
Right. There is this amazing anecdote in your coursework about a Hollywood producer who was filming a movie.
Oh, I remember this. He was filming the life of Jesus, right?
Yes. And he looked at the actors playing the 12 disciples and immediately demanded they hire 100 disciples instead.
Because more is always better.
Exactly. He lacked childlike receptivity. He tried to substitute the quantity of an effect for the quality of spirit. Meekness is realizing you don't need 100 disciples. You just need the 12.
So what does this all mean for our actual daily lives? Because if we are resting in this childlike receptivity, how do we actually deal with our real-world faults?
That's the million-dollar question.
Right, like the temptations of our lower habits. Do we just ignore them? The text looks at the temptation narrative in the wilderness and the story of the boy Jesus in the temple for this.
It does. And these blueprints reveal a really profound truth. We do not fight our faults with willpower alone.
Wait, really? But everything in our culture is about willpower.
I know, but fighting creates friction. Instead, the text teaches a specific technique called the disappearing act of treatment.
The disappearing act. What are the mechanics of that?
There are 3 steps. Step 1 is look away from the corpse.
The corpse being the bad habit, right?
Exactly. You have to stop focusing on the pig pen of your current conditions and your past failures. If you stare at the problem, you give it energy.
Okay, so what's step 2?
Step 2 is focus on the perfect inner pattern. You turn your attention to the inner seed, the I am that already exists within you.
And step 3?
Step 3 is stand in the light. When you stand in the light of the perfect pattern, the imperfection vanishes without a struggle.
I feel like we need to demystify stand in the light a bit. It sounds a little vague.
Fair enough. Think of a dark room. You don't go into a dark room and try to shovel the darkness out the window, right?
No, you'd look ridiculous.
Right. You don't fight the darkness. You simply turn on the light, and the darkness is naturally displaced. It vanishes without a struggle. It is the effortless unfoldment of an acorn naturally becoming an oak tree.
So you're just displacing the fault with the light of the true pattern. That is brilliant.
It really changes how you approach your own mind.
As we wrap up your deep dive today, let's just summarize this massive paradigm shift of week 2. Spiritual growth is an act of remembrance, not acquisition.
Beautifully said.
You are reminded today that your true identity is the deep, undisturbed ocean, not the crashing waves on the surface.
And I want to leave you with a final thought to mull over before week 3.
Let's hear it.
We've talked a lot about how your physical body, your social status, and your passing moods are just a temporary wardrobe. They're just a working tool for your eternal true self.
Right.
But if that's true for you, it's true for everyone else too. So what new, empowering clothing will you consciously choose to put on tomorrow morning when you wake up? And can you see past the heavy, uncomfortable wardrobes that other people are wearing?
Wow. That completely changes how you interact with the person who cuts you off in traffic.
It really does.
What a profound challenge to take into the week. Make sure you practice your daily active pause, listen for that still, small voice, and we wish you a week of effortless unfoldment.